Welcome to the spaceship, everybody. Hey, Asaf.
Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard the Great Transition. What's up?
Hey, from New
Yes.
Jersey. Good to be with you over there in the middle of Israel, the Middle
Yeah.
East.
Yeah.
2 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m., 9 p.m.
9 p.m. Here
What do you
it's
call it?
9
Middle
p.m.
Eastern? What's your time zone?
Uh, Israel time.
Israel time. All right.
Yeah.
So here we are again at the Great Transition. Once a week, we are looking at what's going on in the world through the very unique and ancient wisdom of Kabbalah that we received from our teacher. We're currently receiving from our teacher, from the lineage of the Baal HaSulam. Unbelievable Kabbalist. Pretty much all that we're doing here is based on his writings, his teaching that came through that lineage, through the Rabash to our teacher, Rav Lightman. And now today, in some weird turn of events, instead of this wisdom being hidden in a cave somewhere or passed from only from teacher to student, with all kind of conditions around it, not conditions like jump through this hoop, but as a person prepared to hear this, can I take a cat to the opera and have him actually enjoy what's going on there? Today it's totally different. Today the world is a mess. I wish that one day when we all hang out at the campfire, we'll be able to use profanity maybe a little bit. It's not really how we speak together when we're talking about this, but the world, sometimes it gives dramatic emphasis. The world is in bad shape now.
Hmm.
Although it seems that we are, kind of seems, at least in business in New York, everybody seems like everything's coming back to normal.
Hmm.
But
Is it though?
uh, yeah, I'm constantly feeling nervous about where we are, and I think makes some people around me think I'm a pessimist. I'm really an
Hmm.
optimist, but in order to get to the good
There,
outcome,
there's
uh,
a good. I'm going on a tangent now for a minute before you even got to
we need to make a verb out of
your
that
intro.
because it's something that we do here. When you
I'm
go on a tangent, there needs to be a verb
tangentizing. I'm tangentizing.
to work on that. Okay.
Anyway, there
Recommendations
was
requested.
a conversation with Kabbalist Dr. Michael Lightman, our teacher, the other day, like this week even, yeah, this week, um, and the person who was talking to him was saying, so you're a pessimist, basically, and he goes like, yeah, I'm definitely a pessimist, but you're saying that ultimately humanity comes to a sublime state of existence way beyond all the limitations of this world. Of course. So you're an optimist. Of course, I'm an optimist. And it's like that was a beautiful.
Exactly.
So as Kabbalists, I guess it depends on when how do you ask the question and when and how do you ask the question. Yeah.
Chris, I hear you. Are we cutting? Are you trying to say something here?
Chris,
No?
I,
No,
I
my
don't hear
my mic was
Chris.
closed. Sorry,
Oh,
I
it
don't
was?
hear
Oh,
you.
maybe Asaf, maybe I just hear you double laughing. Um,
Oh no, you got an echo there?
it's okay. I can take it.
Okay, cool.
Um, there was
I'm
another
done with
show.
the tangent. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, there was well, on your tangent, there was well, anyway. Okay, yeah. The it's that's we're an optimist. We're hopeless. What's it called? A hopeless lover? Not a hopeless lover. You can't take it away from us. We're just passionately, we're just head over heels
Uh,
optimistic. That's what our whole life is moving towards love, towards connection, towards even
uh,
beyond time, space, and motion.
and that's why it's gonna get worse first.
And that is why. That's why
the
I foresee terrible things happening in the near future.
Yeah,
Oh,
how do you
oh my
explain
gosh.
that? Oh, there you go. Shannon in the chat says, "Yeah, I relate to being the pessimistic optimist." Yeah, it is hard to express, huh? As people who practice Kabbalah, who study Kabbalah, on a regular basis,
Are we
it's
practicing?
hard
We're not in the game yet. We're still practicing.
exercising the wisdom of Kabbalah. How would you say it? Anyway, it's hard to when you speak to people. You know what I mean? It's like hard to. It's hard. It's really. It's not one. It's not a
No, the economy is actually
one-sided
not coming
thing.
back. It's getting ready to be even worse.
No, but
The
it's
war's
true.
not
It's
over.
like
They're just making more weapons.
I'll talk to some people, and sometimes it sounds like I'm like a doomsday prophet almost, because like I'm explaining that this cannot go back to normal. This cannot go back to normal. This aspect of human life has to deteriorate, and on the other hand, so that's you sound like a doomsday prophet, and on the other hand, if the if you're talking about the vision and nature's plan according to Kabbalah, where we're actually developing what we're developing to, you're like utopian. So we're the only people who can sound utopian and doomsday prophets at the same time.
So Rabbi Akiva,
Yeah,
Akiva, who was the one who isn't he the isn't the love your friend as yourself? That's his, right? That's
that's
his.
him. That's the guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's a great story, everybody. There was a guy, not a Jewish guy, who ended up
Hmm.
becoming a Jewish. What? Because what does Jewish mean? Anyway, it means
Oh,
what we're
that's
talking
a
about.
whole.
Was
We can't get into
not
this
going to
now.
go down
No,
that
too
tangent
long.
yet.
Too long.
But the point is that those who are learning the method of the wisdom of Kabbalah, those who are, what's the Hebrew word for Jew? The straight,
It mean
unity, unity in the ancient
Israel
language, unity.
means straight to the
Fine.
creator. Jewish means unity. Yeah.
So here's some guy, he wasn't part of that group. Anyway, he became part of that group. Not only that, he became so great in that group. The love your friend as your love the other as yourself that everyone adopted is his. That's where it comes
Hmm.
from him. And he was also the teacher of the one who wrote the Zohar. So it was like a pretty
Yeah.
big dude. He's a good precedent for this.
President.
Uh, Not a president. He would have been a great president. He was a good precedent for this pessimistic optimism,
Right.
because when the temple in Jerusalem, there was a big temple. They had all kind of festivities there. They had big festivals a couple times a year. Everyone came together from all over the place, music, food, all,
Okay.
and it
Hmm.
was destroyed in a time very similar to now. There was a lot of technology. There was, ancient technology, but there was a lot of innovation in government, and of course, infighting and egos and intrigue and romance and murder and everything. And one thing led to another, and everything was in ruins. Just horrible. Everything, the whole city was destroyed, or the whole part of the region was destroyed. The Romans did their work in a lot of places. This was one of them. They go through and pillage and destroy and all that stuff. And he was walking through the
The
mess,
ruins. Yeah.
the ruins, and
Hmm.
he laughed.
Right.
And as the story goes, and one of his
So why did he laugh
bros,
though? He laughed because
that's
he
trying to get to
saw.
that.
Okay, go ahead.
Tell us. So one of his bros was
But,
like, "Why are you laughing? It's not funny."
he was laughing because he was seeing the future. Because he was seeing what is going that now he knows that the final correction will definitely
Speak English, bro.
happen.
English.
Yeah, you started with all that archaic examples that are you
Okay, but I
can't.
thought it was a relatable story.
Very relatable.
Okay, so bring it home. So why was he laughing?
He laughing because he saw human development is going towards a new level of connection, and that's why the separation is happening now. And it's very relevant to today because you could say that in more ways than one, it's very similar to what's happening today. There's a lot of growing separation, growing conflict, growing division. But if you understand the trend, then you understand that this is how nature prepares us to rise to a new conscious level of connection that we've never attained before, that we've never had before. So,
So let me
if
tell
you,
you about how
yeah,
nature prepares a person. Before I was a Kabbalist back in the 80s, I was a young boy growing up in New Jersey. And
right.
we used to buy CDs, compact discs, like CD, and at a
Mhm.
certain point, not every popular song had curse words in it.
What's a
So if there
CD?
were
You wear it? You wear it on your head? What do you do with it?
okay, okay, young buck, I'm sure you used a CD before. Uh,
No, no, I had tons of CDs too. Yeah, it's
so
not
they would put.
that
Do you
old.
remember the black and white parental guidance is suggested or whatever it said that used to be
Yeah,
on the CD?
yeah,
If there was
yeah.
curse words, it would have like a parental guidance thing, right?
Right.
So I don't know. I guess, speaking to my mom later, she didn't really understand the words of NWA. You know what NWA is?
New
No.
world, not order.
There's an N word. There's an N word that we're not supposed to say.
Oh, NWA. Okay.
And then W is with
Mhm.
and A is
Mhm.
attitude. So it
Mhm.
was a
Yeah.
group of
Yeah.
young guys out
Mhm.
of
It's
Los
not in my
Angeles.
cultural baggage, this thing, but I am
Okay,
familiar. Yeah.
it was
Okay.
a really big deal because they were just young, um, whatever they grew up in that environment, in a really difficult
Mm.
environment
Mhm.
where with crack cocaine, that's when all crack and all that was coming
Right.
up and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And they were super creative, and the music was very high energy, and kids like me in New Jersey in the suburbs were like listening to this every day, and bouncing on jumping on I remember jumping on my bed listening to F the Police was but they actually said the word, that was the name of the song, and I knew every word. I don't
Mhm.
even know what was coming out of my mouth because I didn't have those sentiments. I had no hard feelings against
Mhm.
the police.
Yeah, but
I
it was
lived in the
just fun
suburbs.
music.
It was really fun music, and
Right.
it was almost like a Netflix series or something, to just be listening to all these stories. I didn't know it was
Mm.
real, who these people were, or anything like that.
Right.
Um, but this was back before it was popular to ban the police or be against the police or whatever. Um, and somehow, um, from this very like innocent suburban kids singing these songs, like, and then all of this getting into the cultural conversation, all these kind of lyrics and things, all of a sudden, then a few years later, I noticed, and there was no problem like with authority or anything like that. I'm just talking about how these things are in culture.
Right.
Then I remember, like, when I was young, we never cursed in the house. It
Mm.
just wasn't a thing.
Right.
But then I remember, like, being a teenager, I remember, like, there's no effing way I'm doing that, mom. Like, I remember saying, like, those words were like in the house, even
Yeah.
as I got older. And I know it wasn't just in my family, it was everywhere. Till now, even with like young teenagers, it's like not a, it's, you hear the words all the time, it's everywhere. And something happened in the culture where the things that were like sanctified or like honored or kind of held up, whether or not there was good reason for it, but it still existed. The stratum within society kind of still existed, with police that was there, with teachers, with politicians, with parents and grandparents. There was certain kind of honor and respect towards
Mhm.
the elders and things like that. And something happened this week. I'm sure everybody saw it. Chris, can you bring up that video if you didn't? The president of France gets off an airplane somewhere, or gets off whatever somewhere, and some guy hits him in the face. The president of a serious country.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, do it again.
I saw a different
Wait.
video where it's actually you actually see it from the other side, from this
Oh
side.
yeah, yeah.
I saw
You
one
can
when you
find
see it
another.
from the other side.
Yeah,
It's a
I'll find the
it's a
other
really
angle. Give me one
viral
second.
a really
You need,
viral
yeah, you
angle.
need that one. Yeah,
Uh,
because it's much more. You're like, wow, that was they actually let that happen. I can't believe it.
yeah, a
But here, play this.
really viral angle.
So
Yeah,
probably every president deserves to be slapped in the face multiple times. That's not the conversation that, like, whether, I think actually that was the question we asked, should we be slapping presidents in the face? And the answer is probably
right.
yeah. But that's not what we're saying here. What we're saying is that what
Seth,
I'd
we have
like
to
to
add a
say here,
disclaimer. People will be thinking that we are supporting violence. So
no, we're not supporting violence, and we're not
play
supporting,
walk it
we should
back.
Okay, you walk me back, but I would say we equally slap all politicians in the face, not just ones, not just Democrats or
I would put it
Republicans,
like
Wait,
this.
you gotta
Ca-
have this right now before you get into it. Oh,
Oh.
yeah. All
No,
right,
you
good.
can't
Okay.
have a guy on a Kabbalah channel saying it's okay to hit someone in the face,
No,
can
no,
you?
but you actually didn't say that. You said we want to slap. If I
Okay,
believe
I
that's what
stand
you
by my
said.
statement.
I believe that's what you said. And here's the thing: in the wisdom of Kabbalah, we are not, uh, some um, pious saints. We understand human nature, and we understand how it works, and we understand our urges, and we don't try to cover them, eliminate them, reduce them, or erase them. We understand what is happening inside of us as a natural process, and so um, it's very likely that a lot of us, even if we wouldn't do it, we want to do it, and that I think is a good starting point. Anyway, go ahead. How you
We
wanted to
should
open this up?
probably have something at the beginning of the show or at the end of the show where just a disclaimer, and we just go through everything that about what we really mean, and then we just have the freedom to
Yeah. By the
say
way,
whatever we want in the show.
Bezalel in the chat said that the one who did it just got 18 months sentencing today. I don't know if that's a
Okay,
done
that's
deal or
reason
not,
enough
but yeah.
to do it. Yeah, unless you have
Anyway,
like some
yeah.
books you wanted to catch up on, or you do a lot of push-ups and stuff in jail. 18 months, you could get ripped. You can get so strong, read a lot, focus.
Yeah.
Okay, so the point is
So
that
okay, well, yeah. Why are you bringing it up, Seth? Why
I'll
do
tell you
we?
exactly why
How do
I'll
we
tell you
get into
exactly
this?
why I'm bringing
Yes.
it up, and we could even get into the circle and the line, which is probably way more than we want to as far as relations to the wisdom of Kabbalah, in related to the wisdom of Kabbalah. But there were all of these measurements between where I am in society, where you are in society, what I can say, what I can't say. So
Mm-hmm.
many, what's accepted, what's not, because you see in the schools now, it's like, okay, so some kids are gay or some kids are transsexual, like, okay, everyone accepts it, but it's not about accepting it now, it's about like indoctrinating now. Like everything now is like there's no difference between anyone, and we want everyone to, like, we want it in everyone's face. There's no difference between me and the president. There's no difference between this and that. Everything is like a circle, right? It used to be more like a line, like he's up, I'm down, there's a sign over, like it's this wide, it's like this. And now everything is just, it's becoming, even the thing that we wanted to talk about for so long was the whole transgender thing, which probably also not the right time to do it. But this difference, it's not a man, it's not a woman. Like, don't label me, I'm not this, I'm not that. Everything is becoming more like a circle, right? Like everything is
Right.
becoming way more even and equal,
Right.
somehow psychologically or emotionally, that a person feels that he can,
Yeah. So
you know
what is it that
that's what
what
I'm asking you.
that has led us to to that situation is what we should be talking about. What is it? What is this showing us? What is this indicative of? And also, what's next? Where are we going? Not just what's next in the sense that today a person slaps the president, tomorrow they'll do something worse. Not just in that respect. What's next in the sense of our relationship with our leaders, the relationship between governance and citizenship, authority and obedience. What is going on in the world in that respect? Where is the world headed in that respect? I think the fact that we're seeing now that a person, feels that and actually does that, and slapping the president in the face, that um, maybe even in the past you could find a situation like that. Remember, like um, what was it, 15 years ago or something? President Bush, 12 years ago, or something like that. Someone
In
threw
Iraq, the guy threw a shoe at him.
the shoe, and he
But
dodged
there's
it.
precedence. Throwing a shoe, I think,
Right.
in that culture, it's something that happens.
Right. So I'm saying, okay, so there were some events, but I think that's not the point. The point is that our culture is changing gradually in a very clear direction, and that direction is, whether we see it clearly or fail to see it, it is the growth of human egoism. That is what's happening, and that, as among other things, it causes a a gradual but dramatic change in the order of society, in the structure of society. If you think about governance and leaders in the past, think kings, emperors, right? They were respected and revered in most cases. They had power that was much more than what our leaders had today. The relationship between them and their citizens was one that was very different from you would the citizens wouldn't
You still
dare.
see it in like North Korea, for example. It's like a
I don't think it's the same thing. No, good, good point for comparison. I don't think it is the same thing, but I don't think it's the same thing. I'll tell you why. Because you can still see that as oppression. I think that in the past, from the little bit of history that I've studied in university, and the the little bit of the some anthropology, sociology, I my from my Kabbalistic perception on this, I would say is that the nature of people has changed. So if today you have North Korea in a world that calls that oppression, and even if these North Koreans are not connected through the internet to the world, they still feel their situation to some extent as being suppressed, being in some kind of a different regime. I would say it's different from people who lived a few thousand years ago, where they saw themselves as belonging to the king. We're not, you know what I'm saying? It's very hard for us
very, very hard
to get into the
to
shoes,
emotionally. Yeah.
right? Because of there's this cultural relativism. We try to judge another culture from our culture. It's practically impossible, and we make a lot of mistakes. But we need to think of people, but Kabbalistically speaking, looking at this trend of growing egoism. What's growing egoism? It means that the human being is gradually becoming more and more consciously separated from others and from the rest of reality, therefore having a greater sense of independence, a greater sense of individuality, a greater sense of belonging to myself, owning myself. Whereas in the past, go back, people lived in villages, people lived in tribes, people lived like kin. They were almost like, think more closer to the animal level. Think like a pack. Think about a pack of wolves for a second, or a group of zebras, or whatever. So there is dependence on the tribe, dependence on the group. That is where we started. And so the earlier societies, they were closer in their nature to that. I would argue that people felt like the leader is almost like your father, in a sense. Your leaders, by the way, this is true in many cases in history. Leaders had godly power, meaning they had godly authority. In the eyes of their citizens, the leader was, in many cases, the king, the emperor, whatever it was a messenger of God, and people accepted it. In general, religion was something that was completely intertwined with the leadership, with the governance. Right? It's only a very new thing, secularism. Pretty much like, think the Enlightenment and forward. So what I'm saying is, this trend, not to go into a history attempt at a history or anthropology lesson, back to a Kabbalistic kind of perspective, right? We're looking at the evolution of human nature. That's what's happening behind the scenes. And that is what's gradually changing the social order. And because the ego is growing. We exist on this planet about 200,000 years, let's say, in our current form, right?
As a monkey
So
plus.
exactly. And so we, in those 200,000 years or so, we have gradually become more individualistic, more egoistic, more independent,
But
more
I want to ask you
owning
to go.
ourselves.
I want you to work a little
And
bit
one,
harder.
okay, no, I want to say why it has to do with that, with a person slapping the president in the face,
Okay, so
because
that's what I was going to try and get you to
yeah,
tell me.
sorry,
So
because I feel like I spoke too long and I kept those
not too long, but
I
you're looking through the microscope
yeah,
at like 50 times. I want you to go like,
a little
500 times. Yeah.
deeper even.
Well, because, you could have said
If
in
we're talking deeper,
after
then we
World,
have to go.
hold on.
Okay,
You could have said after World War II, women went into the workplace and joined the factories, and they didn't have to wear skirts anymore. They started wearing pants, and everybody got their own car, and everyone got their own television. So, that's the same exact story you told. The ego is developing after a lot of time of living by themselves, and they lived in, okay, but that's been already happening for 100 plus years. So I want you to
okay. To
dial
say
in
what?
deeper to where
What's happening today, specifically today?
today. Yeah.
So we're seeing, okay, so we're seeing a scenario like this where the person feels that they can just come and slap their president in the face, right? What am I seeing here?
Here's a
Uh,
nuance to it. Here's a
right.
nuance before
Okay.
you drive it home.
Okay.
He could have punched him in the face and knocked him out,
True. Yeah, that's
right?
interesting.
He didn't.
That's it. Isn't it? It is interesting, isn't it? It's not just a violent. It's not like a violent. It's mostly like
It's
disrespect.
more
Like
flavor in it. There's a lot
there's
more flavor and nuance.
there's this, yeah, there's a contempt built into the action. There is
Yeah.
there's disrespect, and it's a statement. It's a statement. It's like, I don't owe you anything, and I don't appreciate you
Respect
in
you.
any way, and that is what you deserve. It's like you're almost like slapping like a child or something like that. Like, as a, it's like, you're not the boss of me. You're not my
Mm,
guardian. You're not my parent. You're not my father.
right.
And so there's a
Oof.
rebellious kind of right. So got deep into that. Yeah, it would be interesting to see an interview with the guy who did that. Um, yeah. Anyway, so how does this have to do with the growth of the human ego? Why? Because this is a small indication, I would say, of a bigger process that's happening right now, and it has to do with this elimination of differences you were talking about as well. It's all part of the same process. The pyramid is being flattened gradually. We can no longer maintain the social order based on the old paradigm of top down governance, of kings that rule their people by force, of authorities that you have to blindly follow and be obedient towards. This is no longer working. It's gradually crumbling. And we're at the point where it's starting to crumble, but we still don't see what is the new structure. And that's why you get a situation where a citizen slaps the president in the face, and it can kind of just happen. Like, that's kind of where you are today. Or that, authority is a big question today. It's going to get, and I think it's going to get more and more weird. It's going to be very
So there's something
strange. Yeah.
super weird about it. There's something so weird about it because on the one hand, it's like nobody tell me what to do. I don't have to do anything I don't want to do. I want you to call me this. I want to look like that. I want to dress how I want. Don't you dare call me this. And on the other hand, the government's like, if you want to go outside, you'll put this shot in your body. If you want to do this, you're going to put this over your face. You're going to be able to travel here. You're not going to be able to travel there. In the school, you will learn this. If you don't learn this, you're like this. If you don't believe this, we're going to protest your business. It's like, on the one hand, the authorities like coming apart and everybody wants to do their own thing. On the other hand, there's this like very kind of big brother with surveillance on
Mm-hmm.
everything. And there's even, I think it's in China, that based on your facial expressions, it's not just facial recognition, but based on all of the different things
Right.
happening in your face, they can tell what emotions they're feeding you. It's not, they're not just feeding you ads and feeding you content. Now they're feeding you emotions. They know how to
They they
manipulate.
they they an, they analyze your facial expression to look for emotions. Chris, can you dig that up? There is such a thing. It's yeah. China is using
So
some AI
I'm
facial
sure not
recognition
just
stuff.
China. I'm sure it's not just China. But so on the one hand, authority is going away. All these strata in society, it's like going away. I mean, of course, it's not going away in India. You probably don't have the highest caste, or you don't have probably 6,000 of the highest caste
And
today
by the
dying. It's
way, and
probably,
India is still a very religious country, right?
so what are you saying?
I'm saying that religion has to do with that. That the where religion stayed stronger,
Oh, you still
the
have you still have
authority
the different
authority can
authority. Oh,
still has
wow.
a basis, still has
Hmm.
another pillar to hold on to, because religion was, again, it was intertwined with authority, the for most of our history. you know the what is that? Smile for the camera, the dark side of China's emotion recognition tech.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
just replace the word China with every country's.
Right. In China, it's an interesting, it's an interesting case because they got what, 1.5 billion people to to
And an
control.
authoritarian government
Exactly.
that can,
That
they don't have
has
to pass things between the House and the Senate and the right and the left. They don't have to agree. One, they
right.
just they decide this is what it's going to be, and that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, we should bring our friend at some point to talk about some interesting perspectives on China.
Sure. Owen
Our
was on the show
our
over a year
Chinese
ago.
friend. We had Owen. Yeah, yeah. We should bring him
Okay.
again, I think.
Oh, so what were
Um,
we saying
we
before
were
we?
saying, okay, you were saying that what is the paradox, right? Let's try to nail the paradox that's happening here, where on the one hand you see more surveillance and more attempts to control, right? And on the other hand, there is disrespect and disregard towards government and towards authority. And I think what you're looking at is, here's what's really the one sort of basis that is now being crushed. It's trust. That's the problem. The citizens are losing their trusts in their leaders, and leaders are losing trust as well in their relationship with the citizens. So they want to use more control. They need to introduce more means of control. The I no longer believe, as a modern human being, that this politician somewhere is taking care of me, cares about me. There is like, it's naive today. It's ridiculous. It's close to ridiculous to think that all those politicians are, they care about even their constituents. They care about getting elected. If you think, if you really think that what comes out, I'm not trying to now judge each and every politician, okay? But if you think that all of this institution of political governance that we have today, right? This institution of politics, if you have if you think about it as something that just tries to, do the best for the citizens, you are, clearly you are naive. No one thinks that way today. No one thinks that way. Why? Because we have grown so conscious of our own ego that we understand that this is reality. Everyone's an egoist. Everyone cares for their most immediate interest. The politicians need to get reelected. That's what motivates their next move. Citizens understand it. They're trying to like get the least of all the evils in the situation. We're ruining the planet because of that short-term immediate benefit that we're looking for, right? Chris, bring that there was this article we wanted to talk about, we didn't, where the scientists, this is the new conclusion of the earth scientists and the people who are constantly monitoring the state of the planet, right? That the problem is that we're basically stuck in our ego and we can't see beyond that, something like that, narrow short-sightedness. Anyways, see if you can pick that up, Chris. So this is what's
Say,
happening. We need a new
continue.
basis. We need. Go ahead. Yeah.
Being an optimist these days, everybody out there, listen. If
Mm-hmm.
you think this is easier than going to the gym, it's not. If you think it's easier than, like, smoking a joint, it's not. This is, at some point, when there's enough of us, when there's enough people who are loving each other, who there's enough people who understand nature, then the air is filled with a different spirit. And then you can wake up in the morning and you know that there's hundreds of thousands or millions of others out there. And then you can trust in it. You can trust in the day. You can trust that it's happening. You can trust that we're doing it. You can trust that when you send your kids to school, they're going to learn how to be good humans. They're going to be sharing with each other. No one's trying to poison them. No one's slapping them in the daycare. They're learning how to share with each other. You're confident in their future. You know the things they're learning are going to be things that are going to be valuable to them, and they're learning how to be healthy. All those things. Today, this is hard work. This is really hard work to hear. Like, we don't want to hear this.
Right.
When we look at people, I'm thinking of, as you're talking, and I'm thinking how depressed you're making me. I'm thinking of all the people in my life, and who can't, and just all of our lives, on the news, in the media, everywhere. We can't really accept that we're destroying the earth. And I'm not talking about, Greenpeace or Greta or this, the climate. No. Everyone, forget about the big factories, forget about the Republicans. No, every single person
Right.
is buying plastic crap every day, or is consuming plastic crap every day. And we're thinking thoughts towards each other that are causing all kind of problems as well. Each of us is responsible.
And it's not just that you're doing it in, there's, like, for instance, take the ecological catastrophe that we're brewing right now. Every one of us taking part of that, right? Why is it like that? Because acting in any other way today, if you try to, like, you have to really swim against the current. You have to really fight windmills in order to try to be, for example, right, to be good to the environment today, like to be green.
And any of these things, such as like buying an electric car, your electric car runs on nuclear, or it
Yeah.
runs on coal for the meantime. So what are we talking about? So, and this is not against electric cars, but it's just saying it doesn't matter what we do. Where's the chips coming from inside those electric cars? Where's the metal
Yeah.
coming from? Where it's the batteries. Look
There.
up, do some research on what it takes to put a battery in your phone, where those materials come from in the electric cars. Look at the kids who are in those mines working barefoot to
There you-
get the. Tell me. What's
Yeah,
going on here?
no, just that's exactly the subtitle I wanted. Yeah, so the title of this thing is, can humans actually destroy Earth? Something like that, right? Could humans really destroy
Yes.
all life on Earth? Yes, the answer is yes. The subtitle is cool. The seemingly insatiable human tendency to consume. They're basically just saying the will to receive, only they don't know that that's what they're saying, right? The growing
Malchut of Ein Sof. Let's put this in a Kabbalistic headline here.
in a
Malchut
Kabbalah,
of Ein Sof is
exactly, because what are ecologists or physicists or biologists? There's it's not for no reason that Kabbalist Bala Sulam says that all of the sciences are sort of like extensions of the wisdom of Kabbalah, because
Well, exactly. Here, it's funny that you mentioned that, because here there's an article with Science Daily from 2019 that said, "Don't worry, it's not your fault. It's your brain that is self-centered."
There you go. Here's another one. Right. So
Right.
this is neuroscience, right? So what is neuroscience saying? We are egoists. It's just they're seeing it from the perspective of neuroscience, from the perspective of neural activity. Right.
Neuroscience, meaning brain, is what
Here's
you're saying.
Yeah,
one from
neuroscience. What
2013.
did I say?
Why we don't care about saving our grandchildren from. So we're all aware that we don't care and we can't do anything about it.
Yeah. So go back to the first one, the destroy the earth thing. The Yeah, that one
Oh,
was.
sorry, I had this one saved.
There you go. Great.
Sorry.
Okay, show it for the fans. Show it for the fans. Yeah. Okay. So, the seemingly insatiable human tendency to consume, our nature, in other words, is changing our planet and the life on it and the social order, by the way. That's what I was trying to say with the person slapping the president in the face. But can we change our behavior? Okay, so let's talk solutions, man. We've been depressing, I feel, and we've been pessimistic and depressing for 40 minutes. Let's be we started the show saying that we can be both, right? So you want to flip
Hold on,
the
I
you want
got,
to
I
flip
got,
us? Okay.
hold on,
Not yet.
I got sucked into the comments
Okay.
on
Hold
the
your
Kabbalah
hold your
info.
optimism, horses. We're not there yet.
Hold on, okay, let me get back. I just got drawn into all the comments. Okay, where were we? Usually I give you a warning when
Seraphim.
I'm diving into the comments. I didn't even
Yeah.
give you a warning this time.
Seraphim Winslow says consumerism equals will to receiveism. I like it. I like it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So let's say like this. By the way, no, humans won't actually destroy the earth. What will, because of this will to receive. Okay, so here we'll go. We're gonna turn a corner. All right.
Okay.
Um,
Time for utopia.
we only want pleasure. That's it. Don't kid yourself about anything else. That is what is driving all your neighbors, your parents, your boss, your employees, your kids, everybody, the guy at the gas station. Everybody just wants pleasure. Everyone's running a piece of software. What's the least I can do to get the most pleasure?
Exactly. Yes.
Start with that premise. Now, if the suffering gets so bad,
Let me quote for a second my beloved friend Tony Kosenek. It's the
Yeah.
E equals MC squared of the ego. How can I get the most amount of pleasure with the least amount of effort?
And this is this is an excellent line of software, by the way.
Right.
It is an excellent line of software. It's it's like E equals MC squared. It's like all of these laws, all of these operations to make a phone, to send a rocket to space is all in those four, however many symbols. E, M, C. Well, C is just squared, so it's really three things.
Yeah.
C times C. So
it's energy, mass, and speed of light, isn't it?
Speed of light. Yeah. So in those three things there is like this, with those three little things, you could build all this. So in a sense, this is a very, very important line of code. How do I get the most pleasure for the least effort? It's really good. It's really good that but in order for us to consciously come to something good, we're going through this whole interim ripening process. So if there's enough suffering until this will to receive, this creation says to itself, I can have more pleasure if I modify how I live.
All right.
Okay, so
say it again and go slow so we can no, because you've just changed the whole of reality in one sentence, and I don't think it's I think we're gonna have to put more effort to
the tables are turned
to
today.
drive it home. Yeah.
So we won't destroy all life on Earth. There will remain a few. Nature's got other plans for us. So if it's after a nuclear holocaust and people's faces are melting off and, then they finally, the few remaining relics decide after the bombs do their thing that, why don't we build a society where we all help each other? And the other, 9,000 people are like, yeah, I'll take care of the kids. You can take care of the field. They'd be like, that's a great idea. And I'm really good at at making clothes. Okay, so you can make clothes. And I love playing sports. Okay, good. Well, all the teenagers need to do stuff. So you play with, and then they can build a society where they realize that when I give all of my talents and benefits for the good of the others, and they all give their talents and benefits for my good, then I got the whole village, the whole nation, the whole world is taking care of me. I'm doing all I can to take care of them, and there's a surplus of everything for everyone. Now, remember, there's only a few thousand left because after the nuclear holocaust. But after many thousand generations or however many, we'll get to a point again, we'll populate the earth, we'll make everything beautiful again, and we'll all have grown up because we'll be in households with certain kind of
So,
music and certain kind of film and certain kind of arts and care that the generation after generation learns that everything that I'm given, I'm a part of nature and I give all that I can towards the whole. And we all have trust for each other. I get up in the morning, I trust that nature's taking care of everything, and food keeps growing. The mangoes keep growing, and the grass keeps growing, and the sun keeps shining, and the rain keeps falling, and nature's doing everything as always. And now we're participating with her, and everything seems to be working out. And the software didn't change. The only thing that changed was instead of us being such asses and just doing everything only for ourselves, and each one just turning inside and doing everything for himself, and the world collapsing and falling apart, we just do a 180, flip it around, and do for the others, and they're all doing for us.
okay, I got. There's a great Bala Salam quote. We just have to. I just understood what quote I'm looking for. We have to read it, but I need like a minute to find it. So,
Okay.
or Chris, can you find? It's. I think it's the towards the end of the piece article. Look for keyword psychological. Try on Kabbalah Media. Um, yeah,
The piece?
I think the piece. Anyway, we gotta read it. Anyways, okay. So what will take us though? So you're saying, okay, we're gonna have to destroy the planet,
No,
destroy
I
each
hope we
other.
don't.
Okay, but let's say in that scenario that we do. Okay, in that scenario that this is what we do. So then what? You're saying that simply by going through so much suffering, destruction, and horrible pain and sorrow, that will then convince us
Also,
to start
listen,
being loving towards each other.
unfortunately, just suffering is not enough.
There we go.
So along with the suffering, um, no, the suffering is not enough because suffering won't turn you into a human. Suffering will make you keep running away from pain, but at a certain point, we have to do human things to become human. And just running away from a stick is still an animal thing. To be a human means to start doing human things. So basically, the suffering makes us see that there's not enough value in just being an animal anymore. And then we start to look for, well, how can I feel some pleasure in this life? Because I thought I could feel pleasure in this life by exploiting everyone else, and it's been working out pretty good. I'm not always happy, but I exploit people enough that I'm happy most of the time, and I accept their exploitation of me enough that it's doable. But then what do you do, when all of the little kids, or when 20, 30% or more of the little kids are on pharmaceutical, psychoactive, what do they call it? What do they put the kids on when they're for
Ritalin,
the ADD medicine?
Ritalin,
Ritalin and all that.
yeah.
It's an amphetamine. Is that what they call it? It's like speed or something like that. They put kids on these things because if a child is born and he's got all of this energy to invest, he's like a resource for nature. He comes with creativity and energy and urges, and he wants to give, and he wants to make, and he wants to do, and he wants to break, and he wants to do. And you're like, would you just shut the hell up? I'm trying to like scan through my Twitter feed. Would you just be quiet? Eat something already. Leave me alone. I'm busy from work. I'm tired. So you give him the drug, right? And so all these natural resources that
Yeah.
nature's giving us, and we're just squashing, 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 squashing. So it's not enough to just suffer. You need to take all that energy and have an education. What do you do with it all? Right? That little kid could be driving you crazy, but if you knew he holds the key to your future, to your good future, how do you educate him correctly? How do you aim him correctly? So all of that energy that nature's trying to enter into the system, we don't just keep pushing it down.
And
And
okay, so let's now play with this equation: suffering and education. So the more education, the more learning we go through, the more
good education,
conscious, yeah, the more
spiritual
conscious
education.
spiritual education we go through, the less suffering we need, because we're in a natural program. That's the beauty of it. And that is that tiny area where nature left us latitude, which we can call free choice. It's the only place where we can actually do something. Evolution is pushing us towards a higher state of connection. Until we get there, we're stuck in our egos that are growing and growing and growing, ruining our life, ruining our planet, ruining our world, slapping our presidents because we don't have a choice. We don't trust them. They don't trust us. We need cameras that analyze our citizens' emotions so we can control them in a better way. We need to, I read today that the richest people in the U.S., including people like Bezos and Musk and so on. So it turns out they're not paying like any taxes as well. Like, for like, so even your heroes, even if you're on the Musk team, for innovation and so on. So, so this ego is everywhere, and it doesn't let us breathe. We're strangling each other. It's literally like we're holding we're holding our necks in each other's hands, and we're just like strangling. And the only way for us to realize that we can trust each other and we can live for each other is if we begin to somehow enjoy it. That's the
Enjoy
whole
what?
thing. Enjoy caring for each other. That's the whole problem. That's the whole thing. That's why we need education. Only to convince ourselves that we can actually get infinite pleasure from living in concern for each other, living in caring for each other, living in love for each other. And guess what? When we start to do that, even just psychologically, educationally, consciously, we then will begin to also be in equivalence, in resonance with that loving force of nature that runs between all created beings, still vegetative, animate, all levels of nature. We will start living in the same program, but consciously, as opposed to instinctively like the rest of nature. And here's the quote I wanted. Thank you, Chris. At first glance, changing our desire seems imaginary, as something that is above human nature. He knows, Bala Sulam, he knows that it sounds like a utopia, weird. How can we ever change our nature wanting to give to each other? But when we delve into it, we will find that the whole contradiction between receiving for oneself and bestowing upon others is nothing but psychological. So isn't that beautiful? It's all a question of changing our perception of reality, changing the way we understand our nature. Sure, we want to enjoy. Sure, we want to receive. Sure, every human being is an endless well of desire. We want to be endlessly fulfilled. We want fulfillment.
Malchut of
But
Ein Sof.
the Malchut of Ein Sof, there you go. But the only way that Malchut can be fulfilled is to have a masach on it, to be able to raise reflected light. Only that's how it can receive the direct light, right? So we have to learn how to receive pleasure in a new way. That's our whole problem. We think of bestowal, we think of giving, we think of caring for others, loving others as something that it's so opposite to us. It's so far-fetched. It's impossible. But that's endless pleasure. being relieved of your self-interest, free from your self-concern, floating above any kind of worry, and just, and also not trying to constantly hoard and consume and insatiably devour whatever we can, but just be in a constant flow of energy and abundance and bliss. Just live in it, be like it. And we need to do it towards each other. The moment we start doing it towards each other, nature will give us feedback. We will start being similar to nature, and that's where it goes. Anyway, but for now, let's agree.
All,
Let's agree that we all want to slap our presidents. Anyway, yeah.
First of all, I am lucky to have friends like you and Chris.
As
this
am
is
I.
what we're talking about. That this is what we are talking about. That this is where we're putting our attention day after day. That even though it is difficult to look at the state of where the world is now, we're looking at it, but we're looking at it and living on two levels at once. On one level, we feel like we want to slap the politician in the face, regardless of whether they're on the right or the left. On the other level, we're like Rabbi Akiva, and we're seeing that we understand the process that we're going through. Nature can, and we understand our free choice, and it's impossible to follow that free choice with just our own power. We're like one spark, but when we come together, more and more and more of us, it's like a big flame. It catches on, and we can feel that spirit in the air, and we can make a free choice in this life, which is we're not going to just be pushed by suffering, which after the nuclear holocaust we will eventually realize it is better to love each other. But now we have now in our hands the opportunity to make this happen, as unrealistic as it sounds, as Baal HaSulam just wrote, as unrealistic as it sounds. But we have all of nature behind us, trying to develop us, actually developing and growing us. And it's just up to us to see the process we're in and take those reins and live the life we were meant to live in love and good connection with everyone. So thank you, Asaf.
Yes.
Thanks, Chris.
Yes. Do you have a song that respects
I'm gonna try.
the
Okay, so every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern, we will look at what's going on in the world through the lens of the wisdom of Kabbalah. Like true Kabbalists living in 2021, we're on two levels, very much in this world with work and family and life and everything, and also on the spiritual, eternal level above time, space, and motion, figuring it all out together. Thank you, everyone, for being here, for being part of the this growing vessel to receive all of this light that's coming into this world. We will do it together. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. See you next Thursday. Love you all. Bye-bye.
We wanna know what makes your heart sing with you. We wanna know, does connection get you boiling with you? We want you to know that you make our heart sing. You do. And we need you to know this connection got us boiling with you. We come to tell you of the future. Teach love by one and all. We spend our We want you to know that you make our hearts sing. You do. And we need you to know we sing this song to bring joy to you. We are living in a world of love. We are singing all in one song of love. The reason for